sessions or study number 2 then. So as before, I'm going to do 2 studies. Sorry, not 2 studies, 2 approaches. One in the book that comes with the kit, and by the time you get this kit, the plain pages will be plain. I've decided, having worked in it, that I'm going to take the borders off, and I'm going to do another one that's in a Bible. So this is kind of your beginners, or if you don't own a Bible, this is what you can do. So there's no rules, this is just what my take on it. So you can either, these traceables, you can trace them through the page, or you can use tracing paper or vellum to trace around them and then scribble on the back of the tracing paper, or you can do like I'm doing and just scribble on the back of the traceables. It's up to you. Now, because I'm doing it for you, I've kind of planned what I'm doing, so I've worked out whether things fit and how they fit. But when you're doing it, so what I've done is a little plan there, and worked out where things are going to go in relation to each other. But normally I wouldn't plan it, I'd just go ahead with it. But if you're worried about getting everything in, I don't know if you can see that paper's got squares on it, so square paper is really great. It's great to plan out lettering as well, and that's just my scruffy handwriting. So if you're worried about holding this still, you can always paper clip it down or washi tape it down. But all I've done is taken a normal pencil and I've scribbled on the back, and what that is doing is it's and I've done it with quite a soft pencil, 6B, but you can get away with doing it for a HB pencil, and it's providing a layer of lead on the back, so that when we press down on the top here, it will transfer the image onto the page where we're colouring. Now this image isn't quite on the page deliberately, as you can see this one isn't, so that I can get it looking slightly up. But you can do it however you want, because it's your journey. So we're talking about the moment where the angel appears to Mary and tells her basically she's going to become pregnant, it's God's child, and yeah, Mary says, oh, okay then, that's going to be fine. I'm not sure I would have taken it in that calm manner, so I'm just rearranging the angel so I can get her in how I want her. She's not going to quite fit as she does on there, because I must have just slightly measured my paper wrong. So I'm pressing firmly. It's great not to have a hugely sharp pencil, you need a rounder pencil. If you have a sharp pencil, it's likely to go through. As I say, if you don't want to scribble all over your original traceable so you can use them again, use a piece of tracing paper or the vellum that I've included in your pack, but you might want to keep the vellum for something else. It's up to you. So I can't imagine what was going through Mary's mind when this angel appears. As I say in the devotional, she was betrothed. It was a legally binding contract. It wasn't like I haven't done the hand. It wasn't like being engaged here where it can be broken off and nothing is legal. She could have been stoned. It was a disgrace to the family, and it was just, yeah, pretty horrendous, to be fair. So for her to take it as graciously as she did was a testament to Mary's faith in God. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use the fine liner pen. Now this is one of the uni pen ones that I've included in your kit. Depending on, I've included various thicknesses. This one just happens to be a 0.5. You might find that you've got a thinner one or a thicker one. But if you like them, you can go and buy some more. They're waterproof, so you can use them with watercolour, and you'll see if you watch the other devotional that I use it with some watercolours later. this is my interpretation of Mary. I've tried to make her quite ordinary and plain, because she would have been just an ordinary plain girl, probably about 14, we suspect, because that was kind of the tradition, that was doing what everybody else did. Now in the traceable, there you can see she's looking straight ahead, but in my plan she's looking up, and the only difference being I've just done that. So I've moved where the pupils are. You can see there as compared to that one there. Let's see. And it's only a small thing, but it's the idea that she's actually looking up at the angel. And I'm going to go around the angel now. Now other artist pens are available. This is the first time I've used the uni pens. Somebody recommended them to me, and they're lovely and smooth to work with. I often use Sakura Micron pens or Pigma Pit pens, same sort of thing. They're all around the same price point. Often if you buy them in a kit, you get all the different sizes, some of which you may or may not use. I tend to favour the thicker, older, bigger one at the thicker end of the market, mainly because I'm heavy-handed. So kind of that's where I am with the actual outlining, and then I'm just going to remove any pencil marks. Now as you can see, my border is in the way, but by the time you get these devotionals, the border will have disappeared. This is my proof copy that I've got all my errors in, so I'm just working in that so that we can have, so you can see me actually working on the paper with various mediums. Now I've got a load of pencil crayons, any make, use what you have. You don't have to use the same ones as me. If you're interested, mine are a mixture of Prismacolor. You can see Prismacolor. These are very, very old. These are the old Charismacolor, which you can't get anymore. And the other ones that are in here are Faber-Castell polychromes. Don't you see that in this camera because of the shine? Use what you have, use what you like. Often it's best to start with a few. But equally there's some really great ones that onlyhope.co.uk do that have got Bible readings on, and they're lovely. I don't know whether it's a set of 12 or a set of 24, but they're lovely. If I remember, I will put them in the description below. The only exception to that is the fact that I've got a set of skin coloured ones, and these are Prima marketing. They're not artist quality, they're just ordinary crayons. They are water soluble, but I'm not going to use them for that, so I'm just going to sharpen this one up. Now we've got to remember that Mary was, she wouldn't have been very pale in her skin tone, so all I'm going to do is I'm going to give her a little bit of a darker skin because of where she came from. So I've gone with quite a dark colour. It's darker than I thought it would be. I'm used to using these as watercolours. And then I'm going to take a very, very light colour on top now, just to blend it out. There's quite a lot of the different pencil manufacturers do skin colours. Or you could use I don't know, I've got one in this set, a peachy colour. So you could use, that's a really good kind of peachy pinky if you want to go for Caucasian. If you want to go for a darker skin tone, there's these kinds of beige colours. And there's a Prismacolor that's that kind of colour. That one says it's grey, but it's a French grey. So French grey is like a, obviously it's that colour. It's a really beautiful colour, and blended with a white or whatever, that could make a skin tone. But it's not a tutorial on skin tones. It's not really a tutorial on how to use pencil crayons. It's just an example of how you might use them. I'm just going to test that colour. That might be too pink. I want to go for quite a pale colour. That's it. And I think with a darker skin tone, she's more likely to have brown eyes, but I'm just so that she stands out, I'm going to give her some blue eyes, an almost bluey purple eye. There. Now traditionally in all your nativities, Mary would have been dressed in blue. That's not the case. She wouldn't have had dark coloured clothing, but it's not about historical truth, really. It's about you connecting with the word. So I quite fancy doing her in a really nice kind of purple. So I'm just testing my purples because I want 2 shades of purple. That's not purple enough. Maybe 2 will do. So I'm going to go with a lighter purple to do her headscarf. So I'm keeping my pencil going on the side. Now I've picked quite a smooth paper, which isn't ideal for pencil crayons, but I wanted a kind of a paper for this devotional book, but we could try anything on. So it's okay, and the pencils glide really nicely on it. But this is what they call no tooth, so it means that you're not going to get, it doesn't hold the paper, it doesn't hold in the paper like it might do with one that's got a grain or a tooth to it. But it's completely, you know, it is what it is. Bible paper is very smooth as well, but Bible paper's got the added dimension of being very, very thin. So I'm trying to use the broad bit. Now what's happening here is that the kind of the texture of the page underneath is showing through. But I'm good with that. It's, as I say, it's not really about the Bible verse. So in these creases it would be darker, and closer to her face would be darker as well. Now you can see where I've rubbed out, so I'm just going to go over it a little bit. So I'm adding another layer of crayon just to make it bolder, because I quite fancy this being. I'm going to keep the background relatively light, so I really do want to get more colour in this background. I'm going to use the dark purple now to kind of emphasise the fact that it's fabric, not. So I'm just going and add another layer of the dark purple. I'm just shading from the top down. If you shade in the direction or colour in the direction the fabric's supposed to fall, it will give the idea that the fabric's flowing with the lines that you've got in the pencil crayon. Add a bit more light in there now. So I'm just blending between the two because nothing is completely dark. So she's quite bold now. I'm just going to grab the so I know that I'm going to do the angel kind of really bright, as if she's shining and glowing. So what I'm trying to do is put a little bit more light on the front of her face. Ready? So the front part of her face would be lighter. So traditionally the angel would be dressed in white, but if I've got a white background, that's not going to show up. So I'm probably going to go with a very pale yellow. So I'm going to kind of just put her in a creamy yellow. Sorry, put him, because it is the angel Gabriel, who I point out in my devotional is a male name, which kind of fascinated me when I first thought about the fact that the angels weren't girls. And that wasn't until I became a Christian as an adult. I'd already really taken for granted that angels were girls. But any of the named angels in the Bible are all men. So hey ho. I'm going to do him with a sandy coloured hair, I think. Different crayons behave differently on the paper, so the difference between my two sets of crayons, main ones, is the polychromes, which are these ones, are not as waxy, whereas the Charisma and Prismacolor are both very waxy, and they're really my favourite kind of crayons, and they just go on forever. I'm going to use the paler of the two colours I use for the skin, just to give him a little bit of colour, just a suggestion of colour. And then you can do the wings whatever colour you like, really, and it depends on whether you want to do some texture. You could do a grey, you could do a blue. I'm just going to grab a grey. This one's cool grey, 30%. As I say, I'm going to take the borders off these pages for when you do them. And you've got it, so you've got plain pages. And that's the bit of the wing that didn't make it onto the page. Now it's up to you. As I say, I'm not an expert in pencil crayon. I like pencil crayons, but it's up to you how you do it, how much detail you put on. You could put individual like bird-like shapes on these if you want. I've just got a slightly darker grey. I'm just adding a little bit more colour and texture. And then I'm going to grab this really grey. This is slate grey. It's a blue grey, just to give some texture, kind of an idea that it's got on it some kind of texture going off, and it would be darker towards the skin, towards the back there. So the next thing I want to do is think about my writing now. I have planned my writing out here, so depending on how confident you are to do this is up to you. So I'm going to use my plan. Now, as you can see, my border's going to be right in the way, so I'm going to slightly rethink what I'm going to do. I'm just going to put some guidelines in. Now I'm eyeballing it, in other words doing it by eye. You can measure these out, it's completely up to you. I need 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to have the word God in this space here. And depending on whether you need to have a guideline in the middle, you might want to put a guideline in the middle. And I'm doing this really lightly. Oops, I think I put a guideline where I don't need one, just there, so that when I rub it out you won't see it at all. So this is direct quote from the translation that you guys have got, as opposed to the one any other Bible. So it's the one that's in here, and it says Mary. You have found favour with, and I'm going to do a little bit of script, so I'm going to change to a thicker pen for this. I think I have, oh, it's not up here, because I think I had a script pen up here, but I haven't. Might have one in here. I've got all kinds of stuff in here. Yes, oh no, I haven't. I've just got a, right, so I'm just going to do it with this then. So I'm just going to do what they call faux calligraphy. So I'm just going to thicken up all the downstrokes. So I think I'm going to bring that more there. Put a little tiny bit more thickness on the single layers, but not too much. There we are. Now I don't like my handwriting, but it's not about my handwriting. And then at this top I'm going to put the quote, where it's from. Luke 1:3, 0, so 30, and it's the second half of the sentence. I'm going to give that a minute just to dry, and I'm going to rub the lines out. If you've got a heat gun, you could give it a blast with the heat gun at this point, or a hairdryer, just to make sure you've set it so you don't smudge it. But if you're like me, you're impatient. And I kind of think that if an angel's going to appear, it's going to appear with a bright light. It's going to be pretty amazing. So I'm going to go back to my yellows and grab a yellow. This is the orangey yellow. What is it? Oh, it's called yellow orange. And I'm just going to make it so that it glows like so. And I'm avoiding the text as I do this. I'm just thickening up the lines. And then you might want to put a bit of yellow on the face where it's yellow on the face where it's reflecting on Mary's face. So there we have it.